Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Okay, well, I wish you could see it, so I'll describe it. So this is good, actually. You'll have to use your memory as I describe it as well. So it's called First Impressions,
Okay.
and it's a shot through. It looks like plants, like through the red, pink flowers.
Okay.
That they're super out of focus, and through the gaps in the foliage, there's a sign. It looks like Hong Kong, so it's a Hong Kong sign with like a Chinese tea house. So there's like red, like neon lettering on green,
Yep.
and then in the back behind that, you could sort of just make out a low rise, not a high rise, but a low rise, and you're shooting through the thing, and behind that is a sky. So I would guess, I don't know. It's not Sai Kung, because I know Sai Kung very well. I don't remember that sign. So do you remember this shot?
So I'm now checking the images that I sent you.
Okay, wait. Let me ask you a question. How many? If I were to look through your hard drive, how many photographs would I find? And please round up the number. Or round down, whatever's easier.
10,000. Maybe.
Those are edited.
It depends how deep into the crevices of that hard drive you're going.
Yeah.
One thing that I'll say is I'm not a volume shooter, and I'm not super sentimental about images. Once I've shot something, I kind of move on to the next thing.
Okay.
Which is what I meant earlier. That makes me a little different than other photographers, I think.
That's a good point.
I think people get really attached to their own images, and I tend to move on fairly quickly to the next one. And I think part of that is just survival. It's like, if I think, or if other people think, oh, but this image that you just shot, that's amazing, and that's, well, is that the best I'm ever going to do? Is that it? Where do I go from here? I don't know. It's probably an insecurity thing. Really.
No, well, look, I love how everybody thinks differently and everybody articulates it differently. So do you know what the image is about? Like, can you, like, you selected it for a reason, even if it's not, try to figure out why, because this one was the first image, which you called First Impressions.
So this one is it's the pawn shop sign, right?
Okay. I don't read the characters. I don't, it could very well be.
And it's a reflection, right? I like how I'm asking you about my image.
Okay, so it's a reflection. Okay,
Yes.
so you're shooting down. Oh, okay, so it's a reflection?
So that's me, actually, which I'm sure a lot of people who have seen my work over the years are very tired of seeing at this point. That's me literally shooting into a puddle on the street in Wan Chai.
Yeah, okay. Well, I know your work. Yes. I know you like to shoot into puddles, and that's in Wan Chai? Okay.
That's in Wan Chai. It's a back alley off one of the main thoroughfares in Wan Chai. I can't remember which road. But anyway, it's a back alley that's connected to one of the markets. And in that particular spot, you've got those pawn shops throughout Hong Kong, and usually the signs are relatively high.
Yeah.
In this case, it was quite low, a lot closer to the ground, and so based on where that was in relationship to the puddle, it just produced a really interesting shot where I could shoot directly into the water on the street, and a lot of what you're seeing around it, kind of the this weird almost vignetting around it with the different colors. That's just trash on the street.
Amazing.
It's just everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Which,
I got it.
If you had to sum up my work in 2 words, everyday stuff kind of does it. I'm really selling myself, aren't I? Maybe you and I should start another interview series or podcast called Everyday Stuff with Mike and Ran.
Okay, so take us through the evolution of you picking up a camera, realizing, okay, I want to use this thing as a very deliberate tool of expression, and how, sure enough, your images using reflections are consistent sort of model that you use. So walk us through that.
Well, I picked up a camera for the first time when I was 18 and had no idea what I was doing with it, and then subsequently continued to have no idea what I was doing with the camera for many, many years. I just liked the idea of taking photos. And I think I liked the idea of, at that time, recording rather than creating. It was just a traveling and snaps, and everything was from distance,
Right.
which I think you see a lot when people start out in photography, is that you're shooting stuff that's way over there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then now what I do is I shoot stuff that's really, really close
Right.
generally, for
Okay.
some a lot of different reasons. And I have done photography on and off since I was 18, and again, not most of the time, not very well or with any real intent. And then I was in Tokyo for 10, probably closer to 12 years all in all, which is where I met my wife, where our daughter was born.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was during that time that I guess got more serious about what I was doing. And I got pretty interested in a couple of other photographers that I think I would say influenced me a lot, although most people probably wouldn't see it in my work. But I got really interested in these two photographers and what they were doing. And then I got my first DSLR, so nicer digital camera, basically,
Yeah.
is the easiest way to describe that. And I just was out shooting in the streets of Tokyo all the time because I liked the energy and the vibe, and visually it was interesting. But I didn't know really what I was doing with my camera. I was learning as I went,
Yeah.
and that was the genesis of it. That's when I thought, okay, maybe there's something in this that I could do for a living. And then that's when I started to hone what I think now has become a style,
Hmm.
which we talk about a lot in photography. I do a lot of mentoring of other photographers. That's actually a big part of what I do in my business. And one area I work with young and emerging developing photographers on is style.
Okay.
What does your work look like? And so it's a really long-winded answer to your question. Now everybody's sleeping.
No, 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 no.
But it's that was how I developed the style that I've got now. And I think style over time, you have all these little twists and turns in it. But I've always liked movement, motion, abstraction, pops of color. And then more than anything, I think what I don't know if I tried to do it initially or I just did it. I'm trying to shoot just stuff that's around me, the everyday stuff. I'm not going
Sure.
out of my way to go to a particular place or necessarily shoot a particular thing. It all kind of evolved from what are my everyday surroundings,
All
and
right.
and that's also how I teach and mentor photography, is by developing your eye based on what is in front of you every day, rather than seeking out these grandiose shots and moments. And
But okay, so I want to. So where did you grow up? What part of the world did you grow up in?
um not probably terribly far from where because you're based in Canada now, right?
Well, yeah, in Vancouver. Yeah.
Okay, so I grew up in Minneapolis. I guess not that close, but
Okay.
Minneapolis would be more like a Toronto counterpart, I guess.
Right. Well, hearing you talk, okay, here's what popped up in my mind.
Okay.
One is that you're obviously somebody who's thought a lot about photography. I think the fact that you've moved over to mentoring other photographers, I think is, a sort of maybe a natural evolution, because you want to, we teach as humans, we're like teaching animals, really.
Right.
But the thing is, in a way, by putting yourself in Tokyo, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, I mean, these are really like you don't have to go far to find, the grandiose when you compare it to your formative years of growing up in Minneapolis. And it's not to say that, oh, it's the exotic and all that stuff, but it's more like, because you're coming at it with a more adult eye,
Mm-hmm.
that is, you're just entering a scene, looking at it kind of like as a person who's already kind of developed their eye. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I kind of, because it's totally true that you have a very, it's funny because you're saying your style, you're really trying to use the word style a lot, right?
Mm.
And it's true that you have a totally unique style. But as you were speaking, I was thinking, well, I was just substituting the word voice for style,
Mm.
in the sense that, this is like this is just, and it has its own warmth and its own color. And it's true that, like, unlike many photographers, you really dive into color in ways that, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I find it like you really maximize color.
Do you think sometimes it's too much? Like,
No,
color can be overwhelming.
well, it could be, it could be garish. Yeah, it could be garish. It
Right.
could be, but I
Right.
don't know. I don't think it's that. I think it's more like, this is part of your voice or your style or it's just your expression. So what's interesting is that there is a common thread linking all of your images, which is something. What's great is that you don't have to worry about it. Like, it's not for you to figure out. It's for somebody else to look and say, "Oh, look, this is what I
Yeah.
see," and then you're like, "Oh, I didn't know that."
Right. And I'm smiling because you've hit on something that I think is really important, which also relates to the attachment or lack of attachment to somebody's individual work, and that's as soon as I release that work, and whatever that means, right? It's not
Yeah.
like I'm releasing an animal into the wild, but that work goes on social media or it's for sale as a fine art print. As soon as people can see that and consume it, it's not mine anymore.
Okay.
And
Yep.
it's mine in terms of copyright. Yeah, okay, technically, but it's in terms of interpretation. Does it mean something? Does the aesthetic have a value? That's not for me really to decide or dictate or to try to influence other people. I create it. I put it out there. I may or may not have a feeling about it. I probably do, but it doesn't matter that much. What you think about it is important,
Yeah.
not what I think about it. I made it, so I'm done.
Okay. Well, since you said you're done, I think I'm going to use that as a segue to the next
You're
photo.
like, bye-bye.
We're done. Okay, we're done. We're out of here.
So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.